Yo, what's going on? So today we're going to do a Chadwick Boseman. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. Stay all the way through because I'll just be talking a little bit about how I do a lot of my process. So this one is done with Nova Color and Latex House Paint Behr Premium Plus House Paint. That's what I use when I use latex. You can get that easily at Home Depot, but it's a practice piece, so it's all good with it. And I go to the darkest colors first. The darkest color that I use is always sort of like either a really dark purple or a dark blue or a really dark sort of like a maroon or red, and that's because I don't like using black. It's just way too harsh for me next to some of the other colors. So I go to a really dark color that sometimes, given what it's right beside, it can feel sort of a little bit black, but it's always like a really dark blue. And then I just build layers from there. So I go to the darkest mainly because it's the darkest that I'll go, so I know exactly where I'm stopping. So that is sort of like one of the reasoning. And then I go to the midtones, and then I connect those two, and then to the highlights. So you'll see that in the video today. But really, it's just me going into blacks or going into the dark areas with this dark blue, and then really just like venturing out from there with a darker color, or with a dark sort of browns or dark reds, and some of these other hues, and really just like trying to build layers. But when it comes to the colors that I use, the hues, sometimes it can be anything. So there's really a lot of times, sometimes no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's just what I feel like at the time, or what I have close to me, or what I think would look good next to this dark blue, or would look good next to this dark red. So I'm able to change a lot of colors. So that's sort of like sometimes my rationale when it comes to going from color to color to color. And not only that, a lot of times I stay away from like a super green color, um, because it's really hard to sort of figure out how to make that not feel as sort of like alien sort of esque ish. So I pepper it in from different places, but usually I like to lay on the warm colors, the reds, the purples, um, sort of first, when sort of like venturing into a piece. And then if I go to more of the green areas, I always try to do teal, so like these dark blue, bluish teal color. I really like whenever I'm trying to sort of like transition from the really darkest areas to really light areas. And a lot of times you just got to trust the process, because it's not what you see is going to be the end product. It's like that's just the first layer of what you're doing. So it's going to be a long time um, before you start to see things come together. So you have to trust that process whenever you're doing work like this, and really just see it out till the end, because that's when it comes to the end, the last I'd say 20% of the painting is where everything sort of comes to life, and you start to see a lot of form. When I start to add the midtones, or sort of like the color that sort of connects the darker areas and the lighter areas, I usually try to pick like this pink, and then I'll also go with like a teal as well. But this sort of reddish pink, really dark pink, really works out well for that sort of color that I can sort of spread throughout the piece to sort of start connecting different areas. So I really like this pink, and actually this sort of orangish yellow dark brown color is something that I just had sitting there, and I was like, you know what, let me just throw this in there too, to sort of feel like it's part of that mid-tone area. So there wasn't really like a reason why I had to have it, but I saw it, just sitting there, and I was like, let me actually grab that and throw it in there as well. And like I said, I don't use a lot of green, but when I do, I try to pepper that in different places and spaces to sort of give just a really, really different feel. And from there, it's just keeping sort of the consistency with that transition so that it sort of just flows well. The values of each color flow well so that it just creates form, but it's also interesting to see these different colors beside each other. Now that I have most of the color down, just covering the entire piece, then it's basically going back with different colors to sort of knock things back and sort of to bring things out. So this is sort of like how I start to chisel at the actual portrait when it comes to, just making more form, because right now it's pretty flat, and the more highlights you bring in, the more areas you start to knock things back with darker colors. That's really where a lot of the form comes in. And this is like the last sort of 75% of the piece that, really starts to come together. So like this yellow I'm bringing in is really sort of like bringing a lot of things forward, but also giving these other colors that are sitting beside a little bit more pop as well. So that's basically what I'm doing now. Now this is the real fun part, is when I get to start adding some of these highlights and start adding different areas of, just detail to different features. And that is really where a lot of the sparkle comes in to a portrait. Mainly it's like when you're sort of putting in these highlights in the lips and in the nose and in the eyes. All of these different things really bring a portrait together, because each of them individually, they may be sort of just like a small brush stroke, but together they really add a lot of detail that will make the portrait pop in many ways. So this is the sort of the point that I like, and the point that, you did all this other sort of layering to get to, because all those other layers are the foundation of that painting. And then this part right here is where it really sort of comes in and becomes really exciting. So hopefully you dig the process. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you're notified whenever I do videos like this, because I'm going to do a lot more videos like this, because I love just sharing that process and sharing exactly how I go about sort of using all these different bright, bold colors to actually create form, to create skin tone, to create just, people that I really enjoy. So like I said, hopefully you like it, and I will see you next time. Peace.